Scott Nash. I'm an author and illustrator. I live on Peaks Island, which is part of Portland, Maine. And I've been illustrating children's books for about 10 years now. And the one I want to talk about today is actually this little guy. His name is Flat Stanley. And I was lucky enough a few years ago to be asked to illustrate what was my favorite book as a kid. It was Flat Stanley by Jeff Brown, and it was illustrated by Tommy Ungerer, which is also coincidentally one of my favorite illustrators as well. And so Stanley, if you don't know the story of Stanley, is about a kid named Stanley Lamb Chop, who wakes up one morning to find that the bulletin board that was next to his bed has fallen on him and squished him to about 1/8 of an inch thick. And one of the things I dearly love about Jeff Brown's writing here is that he writes, the characters are very matter-of-fact. It's got a very dry sense of humor. Instead of Mrs. Lambchop being really freaked out by the fact that her son is now 1/8 of an inch thick, she actually says, "How do you feel, son?" Stanley says, "Oh, I feel fine, just a little bit tingly." And she says, "Well, come on down, have breakfast, and then we'll go see the doctor." And I just love that sort of sensibility, that the mother doesn't get freaked out at all. And in fact, they do go to the doctor, and the doctor checks him out, and he says, tries to pretend that he knows what he's doing on this, and he says things like, "That's what usually happens in these sorts of cases." But he takes measurements, and he finds that Stanley's 4 feet tall, about 1 foot wide, and about 1/2 an inch thick. I misspoke, he was 1/2 an inch thick. But Stanley actually, there's nothing that the doctor can do, so Stanley comes up with a number of different things that he can do as being flat. And probably the one he's best known for is that he can actually fold himself up and put himself into an envelope and mail himself places, which you see him doing here. And he mails himself actually to friends in California, where he sunbathes, hangs out with friends, goes driving in a convertible, and acts as a surfboard for one of his pals. Stanley also finds that there's other things that he can do being flat. He can fly like a kite. He can get stuck in a tree. The basis of this story, or the main theme of this story, is that Stanley actually helps foil a series of art thefts that have happened in the Museum of Art that's in town. And what he does is he disguises himself as a painting, because he's flat and can do that. And he had an idea that he wanted to be a cowboy, but actually the director of the library suggested that he should be a shepherdess. And he dresses up as a shepherdess, and in the middle of the night, sure enough, he hears a creak in the night, and it's sneak thieves coming in to steal the world's most famous painting. He calls out the alarm, and the police who are waiting rush in and nab the crooks red-handed. And I won't give away the end of the story, but that gives you a little sense of what Flat Stanley's about. I'm also working on a bunch of different other projects. I also develop animation, and I develop toys. This is a character that I created called Tough Fluff, and he's based on a story. He's a stuffed animal. He's based on a toy that I had as a kid. It was a little stuffed animal that lost his eye, and I ended up patching his eye with putting an eye patch on it. And then all the kids wanted to have stuffed animals with eye patches on it. And this is Tough Fluff. The first book is called The Case of Ducky's Missing Brain. It all takes place in an attic, which was our favorite play space when we were kids. I'm proud of this book in a number of regards, and I think it's a benchmark in the world of children's literature in that I believe it's the first picture book ever to depict brain surgery. They find Ducky's brain and they put it in. Of course, it's just a bundle of fluff, and they actually perform surgery. And I always tell the kids, it worked effectively, but it wasn't pretty. And this is what Ducky looked like after the brain surgery. I'm working on a new Tough Fluff book now called Dr. Vinyl's Island, which is about the evil Dr. Vinyl, who has a plasticizer ray, and he's able to turn stuffed animals into plastic action figures. So nice to see you all, and that's That's all I have to say for now.